Okay, and welcome to this session on first session on probability. We're going to look at what is probability. Probability is about being able to predict how likely an event is to occur. Okay, used all the time. People who bet use probability. Are they going to win or not? Poker players use it. What they do is they work out the probability of the hands that the other people have got, and is it likely to beat their own. Airlines use it. Chances are you probably all know somebody who has turned up to a flight and said, oh no, sorry, your seat's already been booked. And what airlines do this all the time, because they can predict how many people will miss a flight. And rather than having those empty seats on the plane, they will double book them. If we know all of the possible outcomes, and if they're equally likely to occur, then we can calculate what's called the theoretical probability of that event occurring. For example, if I have a full deck of cards, okay, there's 52 cards in a deck, and I want to know what the probability of drawing the two of hearts is. So, probability of the two of hearts. Well, there's only one two of hearts in an entire deck, so that's the actual outcome. There's only the one, okay? There are 52 cards in the deck, so that's the number of possible outcomes. So if I had a whole pack of cards, the chances of me drawing at random the two of hearts is going to be 1 over 52. A slightly more complicated example is looking at a full deck of cards, find the probability of drawing a picture card. Okay, now the picture cards are typically your jack, queen, king and ace. So here we go, probability of drawing a jack, queen, king or ace. Well, there's 4 cards there and there are 4 suits, so that's 16 cards in total. So that's 16 over 52. One thing you must remember, always simplify your fractions. So 16 over 52 cancels down to 4 over 13. Okay, one of the things that's usually quite handy to do is to actually draw a possibility space. So this identifies all the possible outcomes that can happen when two events are occurring. So having a look at this example, what is the probability of flipping a head with a fair coin? Most of the coins we use are fair, very rarely do we use a biased one. And getting a 5 on a fair die, remembering that die is the singular of dice. Write out all the possible outcomes in a table. Well, here we go. So I've got my die along the top and I've got my coin down the side. And I've just written in, so with the heads, I've got all the heads going along the top here, and then I've got the corresponding number. All the tails, and then again the corresponding number. So I want to know what the probability of a head and a 5 is. Well, I look on my table, I find head and 5, and it's there, and there is only one. There's one outcome. How many possible outcomes could there be? Well, there's 12. So my probability of getting a head and a 5 is 1 in 12, or 1/12. Note how we write the probability. We start with the P and then put the event inside the brackets, okay? And lastly, some things you need to know. If the event is impossible, for example, on the last one, if I'd asked what's the probability of getting a head and a 7, well, you can't get a 7 on a 6-sided dice. Okay, so that is, there were none of those on there, so the probability of an impossibility is 0. If it's a certainty, if I said what's the probability of getting a head or a tail and a 5, that's, a head or a tail and a number below 6, then that is a certainty, because a number 6 or below, and that's a certainty because they all contain a head or a tail and all the numbers are below 6. One thing to remember, all probabilities lie between 0 and 1. If you're getting a negative probability or a probability greater than 1 rather, you've made a mistake. Okay? We usually write them as fractions. Occasionally we'll use decimals, but you know, I prefer fractions. You all know that. Okay? So this is a good time to revise your adding, subtracting, multiplying and dividing of fractions. Okay? Thank you.